Welcome back to the Verified Passport Bros, guys. It's been a minute. It's been a minute. I must apologize. The real life rant episode was not done properly, and but I wanted to show you guys what's the real side of me. Yeah, the language a little bit different, kind of threw me off guard. I was really passionate about that one. But one thing I want to talk about is it's just the fact that I was talking to one of my female friends today, and she brought up something that it was very interesting to me. And you have to understand that men and women are different. Men and women are completely different. And as you can tell by the title, it's just because something is admire and respect about you doesn't mean it's admire and respect about the opposite gender. So, for example, innocence and elegance and agreeableness is respected and an admirable trait in a woman for the most part. Just give an example for the most part doesn't mean that those same qualities will be admired and respected in a man. Disagreeableness is attractive in a man, agreeableness is attractive to a woman. Agreeableness makes it easier for a man to lead, and disagreeableness makes it easier for a woman to follow, or other way around. Being a woman being agreeable makes it easier to her to follow the man, and being disagreeable as a man makes it easier and make it more secure to say, "Hey, if I'm leading you, I am leading you." It's not social media leading you, it's not the public narrative leading you, it's I'm leading you. All right, so I think, and I was telling her those qualities. So while as a man being disagreeable, it's for me it's important because I would not come under the subjection of anything. If you're with me, right, and I am agreeable, meaning that I submit to a lot of things, I'm easily submissive. I'm submissive. I It will be difficult to lead because it wouldn't be my leadership. It would just be the leadership of whatever it's in my path. So I don't think when a girl wants you to be the man, she wants you to be the man. She doesn't want social media to be the man. She doesn't want the boy parent to be the man. She doesn't want the boy's father to be the man. She doesn't want the boy's pastor to be the man, or whoever it's influencing that man, or whatever's is leading and influencing that man. She doesn't want to subject to that because she wants you, so she wants you to lead. So I guess being disagreeable is very important. And and one of the downsides to being disagreeable, as what she was saying, is that don't have an issue in offending anybody in certain contexts. In certain contexts, because me offending someone because of who I am, it's because that's who I am. I fully understand as a man that I'm going to offend some people because of my character. It's impossible to live a life and to not offend anybody. So if I do offend somebody, that's just going to be natural. I cannot be a man and then not offend anybody. Because if you stand for nothing, you fall for everything. So I need to stand for something. So there'll be some disagreeableness. So I was telling her, I said, hey, I know I trust myself enough. I know myself enough that if I offend somebody, I'm supposed to offend them. And if I offend somebody, it's in within character. It's within my nature. I know myself to know that I have pure intentions. So I'm not intentionally want to harm somebody. If I offend somebody and they come tell me that I have offended them, I'll deal with it accordingly. But to walk on eggshells is not manly. To walk with political correctness, that's fear. And for me personally, I wouldn't want to live that. And she's like, "Oh no, you can't do that. You have to be mindful of people, be mindful of emotions." And I'm like, "Well, that's within your nature. And if that's your nature, that's fine. That's actually admirable in a woman to be mindful and to be more emotionally sensitive to situations." And I think as a man, for me, I wouldn't want to be that emotionally sensitive. I think being emotional sensitive and being emotional aware are two different things. And I rather be emotionally aware than emotionally sensitive. Emotional aware means that okay, I am like this before XYZ happened, I am still the same even when XYZ happened. That's just aware. I just know what's around me. When you're emotional sensitive, it's just like you react to everything that happens towards you. That's not cool. I don't think you can be emotionally sensitive and be a leader because if that means whatever situation happens to you happens to your team. Whatever situation happens to you happens to your partner. Your partner wants to be someone where if something happens to you, you decide what you want to do with it. That's why she dated you. She did not date the situation. She did not choose to date social media. She chose to date you. So if you're going to be agreeable and not and walking on eggshells, she doesn't want to do that. So I guess some people are different. I get that some people are different, and some people understand that. Say, hey, they're okay being emotional and sensitive. For me, I'm not. And more power to you guys, because if that's what you choose, that's what you choose. The only issue I have, just know what you're choosing and choose what you choose. What I don't like, anybody can be anything they want to be. That's for me. Anybody can do anything they want to do, and you can say anything you want to say. But for me, just make sure there's some form of consistency. Because if you come to me, for example, and tell me that you like this, you like when people don't lie, you hate when people lie. Okay, you cannot lie. You cannot lie. Like, there has to be some consistency. If you're gonna say I am for this trait or I'm for this behavior pattern, that's cool. But don't come to me and say you're for this behavior pattern and 2 days later, because it's a TikTok video, you're for another. Like, what how can I keep up? I don't like to, like, I want to say, okay, this is John, and this is John's set of behaviors and patterns. And John will grow and develop, but the patterns will be similar. That's for me, that's admirable. You can change, that's fine. But if the change is different than, like, transform is different from change. The identity hasn't changed when somebody grows up and becomes more mature. It's just that they're more developed and transfer, like, being a different person to them. So don't be like loud and arrogant one day and being yourself, and then you're like completely different another day. That's not so cool. That's not for me as a man. That's not cool. So I'm just saying, like, again, if I offend someone, back to the main topic. Sorry to digress, but if I offend somebody, that's just what I. That's who. This is collision, and again, I think being offended is a very, very, like, overhyped, event. Is so overhyped. Like, people would classify being offended and, like, losing your limb in the same category. Like, being shot is better than being offended. No, it's not. And I think a lot of stigma. There's a lot of stigma around being offended. Okay, if you're offended, talk it out. If you're offended, like, let's have a conversation. If you're offended, let's get, like, a lot of Patrick Ben Davis said this before. A lot of the closest friends you have, the best relationships you have, happens when it got stronger. The relationship got stronger after you guys went through a conflict. And I think when someone is offended, that's an opportunity for the relationship to become stronger. Because if you are offended and you come to me and we have a conversation, I'm pretty sure once you come to a common understanding, our relationship becomes stronger. And that's an opportunity. Now, I'm not saying you guys should go around and start offending people to develop stronger bonds. That's retarded. Make it happen naturally. All I'm saying, be yourself. And if you're being yourself, you're being a genuine self, and you offend someone, have a conversation about it. But don't just change because someone is offended. I don't think that's cool. You can develop, yes, be more emotionally aware, yes, but, like, to completely change your point of view, to completely change your opinions, to completely change your perspective on the world because some person got offended. If I offend someone, let's talk it out. I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm not afraid of conflict. Let's talk it out. Simple as that. And I think that, exchanging ideas and perspectives is more beneficial than not. So if I, again, being disagreeable for me comes with responsibilities that I'm willing to accept, because, again, I'm willing to offend someone, and if I do, let's talk it out. Depends on, and if you give me a perspective I didn't have, I apologize. And if you give me a perspective that I didn't have and didn't consider, and I genuinely feel like that is actually true, and that's something I want to have and want to get that perspective, I then apologize. But if I'm gonna say that the sky is blue, and you're gonna tell me that the sky is purple, I'm not saying no, the sky is blue, and then you get offended, that's a you problem. I can't apologize for that. There's certain things people are going to get offended by, and you just can't apologize. And there's other things people can't get offended by, and you depends on your character. You have to apologize. And I think apologies is just like a check that you got caught. And I think apologies are just being like overused and used incorrectly, and people just don't know what apologies and being sorry means. And I'll show you guys see those like YouTube apology videos. So cringe. So cringe. I'm just saying, like, man, a lot of these people, especially the whole P. Diddy video, like the apology video, that was weird. Don't want to talk about him. Really don't want to talk about him, but I'm just saying, like, a lot of these apologies are just like, I am sorry that I got caught, more so than I am sorry that I did what I did. Because if people are actually genuinely sorry, they'll initiate an apology versus a platform was provided, then they apologize. And I think apologizing is more sincere when it's initiated versus when it's asked. Or I think apologies is more sincere when it's initiated versus when it comes after accusation. If apology comes after an accusation, it's more it's like, oh, I didn't know I was wrong. I am wrong. That's the appropriate phrase. Not I am sorry. I was wrong. After you tell me I was wrong. It's more of like, oh, I didn't know I was wrong. I admit I was wrong. Are you sorry? That's a different top. That's a different subject. So again, that is how I view offending somebody. And being disagreeable doesn't only mean you offend people. Being disagreeable means that I have a different perspective. It's an opportunity for me to grow and it's opportunity for me to grow, or it's opportunity to give you a new perspective. Either one, I'm fine. I'm fine. And I know that most people are not going to be fine with that. And I am also fine with that. I cannot be someone or choose to be someone because that's the most um, public appreciated or public accepted person. Like, I'm not going to be someone just because the public want me to be that person. I want to do what's right because what I see is right. And again, I do believe in God. I do believe in higher powers. So I'm not the ultimate judge of what's good and right, and what's wrong and evil. Like, I'm not the ultimate judge, but I would do what I want to do because I know myself enough to say, hey, I don't have any bad intentions. I don't have any intentions of harming anybody unless it's necessary, and I trust myself to that point to use my natural self to get through situations versus to mentally predict and put myself in a situation before it happened. And I think that's the main thing with anxiety. And then I was talking to the same girl. I was like, she asked me if I struggle with anxiety or overthinking. I was like, I don't, because what I told her was this. I genuinely said this to her. There's multiple reasons I don't overthink. For me, I used to overthink. I used to struggle with overthinking. I used to struggle with anxiety, but not anymore. And I was determined to not go through that. And she's like, how do you do it? How do you do it? Like, for me, this is what works for me. And I think everybody's resolution to get over that is different. For me, I trust myself to the point where if any social situation that goes south, or anytime I feel like anxious in a situation, it is me doing something wrong in myself, meaning that my natural self is enough for every conversation. My natural self is enough for every social situation. My natural self is enough for all these regular human being interactions. So anything that doesn't feel right is me doing something that I'm not supposed to do. Like, because it's natural for me to be comfortable. It should be natural for me to have a conversation, because that's how humans are made. And unfortunately for most people, I identify as a human. I don't even know what that's supposed to mean, but what I'm trying to say is that for me, it's natural to have a conversation. It's natural to be in social situations. It's natural to have a conversation with the opposite sex, have a conversation with the same gender, it's natural to do that, right? Conflict is natural. Conflict is bound to happen. So there's some things that are natural, and it becomes a real problem when you try to go against natural. I think, but like, for me, having a conversation is natural. So if I feel like I don't want to have a conversation, is that either I'm not mentally I'm not mentally right, in the right place, or just something is off. And when something is off, that's fine. I just need to be aware about it, because a lot of people think that conditions are identities. You don't feel like having a conversation doesn't mean that you are unfriendly or not friendly. Like, you can be friendly on some days, and some days you're not, because you just don't feel like it. So for me, I know myself to say, hey, the best version of me to be in the situation is the most natural, calmest person I can be. That's the best person. That's the best version and the best condition of my mind to be in conversations. And through that, I also be disagreeable in most cases, because as a man, being disagreeable is important, and that's just a part of my nature. If I don't disagree with somebody, I'll let you know. If I agree with you, I guess I'll just keep the conversation going. But again, it's very hard to explain this to people, because even at work today, I was at work, and then I was like in a situation, and the environment was just so tense, because everybody's just like, who's the bully, who's going to push the envelope, who's going to be like, you know trying to push people, and like, I'm just like, the best way to endure this environment, because I have to stay in the same circle for like 8 hours, and I'm saying to myself, like, the best way to go through this is just to be natural. It's just to be natural. I'm not saying that be yourself, because if you don't know yourself, you can't really be yourself. But like, it's always been natural. It's always to be natural. So if any anxiety I feel, that is me doing something wrong in my mind. If I feel any like impulses, that's just something wrong I am doing. So I always blame myself anytime I feel anxiety. Always blame myself anytime I feel like depressed or stressed, and I take accountability for it. And then doing that, it's easy to recover from, because I think a lot of people blame their anxiety and depression on other things that they cannot control. Hence, they cannot control the depression. If you start to blame things, you start to blame these unnatural, like these anxiety and feelings of anxiety on other things that you cannot control, then anxiety in itself cannot be controlled. But I believe that if you take full accountability for anxiety, and this is just for me, it might be different for everybody else. But if my perspective works for you, that's good. If it doesn't, no problem. But my perspective is this: I blame myself, because really and truly, at the end of the day, the only thing I can control is my mind, my reactions, and my actions. That's all I can control. So if having that control gives me power, then I have power over my anxiety, given that anxiety is in me. Saying that to say, I choose to have anxiety if it happens. And if I choose to have anxiety, it's my responsibility to get rid of it. So anything I do within that, I take responsibility for it. And I see a lot of the times when people just do some random shit, I'm like, oh, that's how I stay. That's who I am. All these like, it's all of these excuses and comments. It's just if it accountability. And I'm just saying to myself, man, I wish I could do that sometimes. I wish I can be an asshole and just not care how that person cares. But me in my natural self, I would not be able to sleep right at night if I was being an asshole without reason and without cause. I cannot do it. I just can't do it. If I'm going to be an asshole, it has to be for a good, very good cause. Cause I saw some people, like, for example, this girl was having a conversation, and she was saying that, I said, hey, whenever I talk to a new guy, I just have to block him. I'm just like, okay, do you unblock him? And it's like, sometimes I unblock him back when I feel like it, and sometimes I unblock him and just block him back. I was like, do you get joy from that? She's like, I just do it because I feel like it. And I'm just like, why do you do it? She's like, I just saw me stay. Like, I just saw her stay. I'm just like, wow, well, there's accountability. So I'm just saying to myself, like, I think blaming yourself or keeping accountability with yourself is very crucial, because, again, it gives you power. When you keep accountability for yourself, it gives you power. So for me, to be the best person I can be, I have to acknowledge all the power there is. So I want to blame myself to give me that power to change it. I cannot say I have anxiety because my parents had anxiety. What power do I have then? My parents have the power. And I'm just a pawn in the hands of somebody who doesn't even know they have the power. So if I want to do something, it's because I choose to do something. If I'm going to feel an emotions because I allow myself that emotion, right? Like everything I do is that because I choose to do it. So I choose to do what's right. I choose to do what's wrong. If I choose to do something wrong, there's a cause. If I choose to do something right, there's a reason. I don't need anybody's approval or disapproval to know for me to know what is right from wrong. No, am I God? No. There is a higher power than me, and there is a higher realm than where we're in the physical. I do believe in that. But at the same time, for me, I just don't agree on walking on eggshells. And a lot of these times, you need to be walking on eggshells. I'm like, yo, if I offend you, I'm supposed to offend you. That's how I see myself. No, because some people are struggling with certain things. You can't really say that because if you are not in control of your body, then don't do that. I don't know. Okay. And again, and I take accountability, like I choose to do it. And if I choose to do it, let's have a conversation. Like, are you offended? Why it offended you? If you don't want to talk, that's fine. But I cannot pretend like I am. I don't know. I said to somebody, it cannot sound weird, but I think I see anxiety like flu or like cold, meaning that if you have it, that sucks. But if you have it, don't give it to other people, right? Don't go in public spaces and just like putting it on other people. That's not fair. It's not fair for you to have anxiety and then put it on me, right? Stay home, get well. And when you get well, come back to reality. But until then, stay home. It sucks that you have anxiety. It's not your fault, whatever. But you have it, not your responsibility to take care of it, and life goes on. So, with that in mind, I'm just saying you have control of your body, you have control of your mind, you have control not really what you feel, but what you allow yourself to feel. Because if somebody just came behind and slapped in the head, I know you rather choose to not feel pain, but you are feeling pain, right? So there's some things you can't control, but you always can control your reaction. Always control your reaction. So that's just my thing today. And again, being disagreeable has its place. Being agreeable has its place. I just personally believe that being agreeable is more of a feminine trait. That's just me, honestly. And being disagreeable is a masculine trait because you are able to lead better as a male. And a woman, I feel like agreeableness, it just amplifies a woman's natural, nature. Anyways, that's it for today, guys. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment for other ideas. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, I believe. Peace.